Okay, so hello everyone, welcoming you to Saurabh Sir's classes, and we begin with our sixth session of our discussion of the ISI MSQE PEA 2022 paper. Okay, so now we start with question number 11 that you can see. So the question says EI of P naught with the price elasticity of demand for a good X of consumer I, where I runs from 2 to N, at price P naught, given its demand function. Consumers do not consume identical amounts of X at P naught. Then the price elasticity of demand for the aggregate demand function is which of the options? So now let us understand that suppose now instead of going in for this n consumer case, you can easily check for the two consumer case and then see which option matches. That would be a easier way to understand this. So let's say we consider two consumers. 1 and 2. So for consumer 1, the demand function will be x1, which is a function of p. And for consumer 2, it will be x2, which is a function of p. Okay. Now, how do we define the elasticity of demand? The absolute value. So it is minus of del x1 by del p1. Sorry, not p1, just p into p by x1. And similarly, the absolute elasticity for price elasticity for demand for consumer 2 will be minus of del x2 by del p into p by x2. Now over here you can see that the question they have mentioned a fixed price P naught. We can put P naught over here as well, that's fine. Or even if you don't put, that doesn't really matter, as we'll see. So these are the two elasticity of demand for the demand curves of the two consumers. Now since the economic consists of only two consumers, so what will the aggregate demand curve look like? So how do we find out the aggregate demand curve? It is basically a okay. So the aggregate demand is basically x, which is a function of p, which will be x1, which is a function of p, plus x2, which is a function of p. Because we remember that how do we find out the aggregate demand? It is done by horizontal summation. So at a given price p, the total demand is x1 plus x2. So we are basically told to obtain an expression for the elasticity of this aggregate demand. So let us compute it. So if we write del x by del p, that will be equals to del x1 by del p plus del x2 by del p, right? In order to express in elasticity form, we will multiply by p and divide by x. P by x del x1 by del p plus p by x del x2 by del p. Okay, so okay, with a minus sign, these has to be adjusted for absolute elasticities. So minus of p by x del x by del p. Now over here, since I want to express it in terms of E1 and E2, I need to do some manipulation over here. So what I can do is that I can multiply and divide by x1. So this will become minus p by x1 del x1 by del p, and similarly I can multiply and divide by x2 over here. So that will become minus p by x2 del x2 by del p. So what is this E? And let's say, so this is x1 by x. So this is some kind of proportion of demand for good one. So that is eta 1 E1 plus eta 2 E2, such that eta 1 plus eta 2 is equals to 1. Right. So this is the structure that we get. That means in general, if we have n consumers with n demand curve, what will be the elasticity of the aggregate demand curve? Eta I Ei. And note that this doesn't match with any of the options. So it is option number D. Now, It doesn't match. Okay, all right. Now coming to the next question, which is question number 12. This is a straightforward question from comparative markets. So over here we know that the cost function of each firm is given by q squared plus 1, and every firm has this and the industry demand, which is d as a function of p, is equals to a minus b, and we are told to find out the short run output of each firms. So what was the short run equilibrium? If you remember, what was the condition? What was the condition determining the short run equilibrium? It is price should be equals to the marginal cost. That is what should happen. So over here, what is the marginal cost? It is 2q. So that should be equals to the price over here. Okay. Therefore, in the short run equilibrium, what is the amount that each firm will produce? P by 2. Therefore, what is the supply in the entire industry? So there are m identical firms, as has been mentioned. There are m identical comparative firms. So what will be the total supply? It will be, just a moment, S of P will be, which is nothing but capital Q of S, which is m times small q. So that will become m times P by 2. So this is the market demand that we have, A minus BP, and this is the market supply that we get, S of P equals to M of P by 2. So from here we can easily get our equilibrium price in the market. So for equilibrium, E of P equals to S of P. That means A minus BP equals to M times P by 2. So from here we can easily get to, so A equals to M by 2 plus B times P. So what is my P star? It is A, or rather 2A divided by M plus 2B. This is my P star. So what is my optimal quantity? So I can easily put it in the supply, which is M by 2 times P. So that is M by 2 times 2A divided by M plus 2B. So this 2 and 2 will cancel out. So we have M times A divided by M plus 2B. And what is the optimal quantity produced by each firm? It is Q star by M. So that is 1 by M times MA divided by M plus 2B. So M and M cancels out, that is A divided by M plus 2B. And this is your option number B, A divided by M plus 2B. That's the answer. Okay. So this concludes our 6th session of your discussion. So thank you so much. So for more interactive offline and online courses, mock test series and solutions, please connect to us on Saurabh Sir's classes at the following number, which is 9836793076. Thank you so much.